Welcome back. Senator Emmanuel Onwe joins us now. He's the Commissioner for Information in Ebonyi State. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much.
Well, focusing on the economy, we know that a lot of these policies that government talks about, they have to be implemented in states,
yes,
and of which you come from one of them. And tell us now, I mean, from your perspective and the policies we've seen from the government and at the state level. Let's start with the agri sector, because government thinks that can drive a lot now. What is going on? How do you think we should approach this?
Well, thank you very much. I think agriculture is really the key. If Nigeria has any hope of surviving the current recession, of surviving the catastrophe that has been brought upon our nation over events that have occurred for about 4 or 5 decades, agriculture is the key. I mean, it is baffling to me that the neglect, the absolute ignorance that I think some of our policy makers have in terms of the potential of agriculture. I mean, in Ebonyi State, for instance, we have a program right now which is building on previous programs that were actually neglected because free money was coming from Abuja to the state. There was a time when average allocation to Ebonyi State was up to 4 or 5 billion. Now it is only about 2 billion. In the month of April this year, Ebonyi State government received 1,450 million naira as total allocation from Abuja. And you cannot survive that when you pay salaries, subvention to the university, to the College of Education, subvention to 13 general hospitals, not the local government, and think about that.
There's some interesting developments, though. I think it was recently when the Minister of Agri did also support the ban on sale of foreign rice in Ebonyi State, and the governor also. What informs that decision? Can Ebonyi State survive without that?
Yes, I mean, there are 2 aspects to it. I think the reason for the ban is basically based on health considerations, because I don't know if you've seen on social media recently, trending is an image of somebody somewhere in China using plastic to produce things that look like rice pellets. And apparently those are some of the stuff that are brought to Nigeria. But more importantly, once we were made to understand by no less a personality than the Minister for Agriculture himself that some of the rice consumed in Nigeria that come from overseas have been in storage for upwards of 12 years. And the governor decided that, look, Ebonyi is doing very well in rice production, thank you very much. And rather than face health emergency situation based on consumption of rice, we ban it because we have enough. And how do we have enough?
You have capacity?
Yes, we do. We do.
State demand?
Absolutely. In fact, I've been going around the entire place talking about Ebonyi rice and wanting to make the conversation so central, tying into the agriculture we're talking about. Because if Ebonyi can produce 10% of the huge quantum of rice consumed in this country, 600 million, in fact, the latest estimate is about 700 million metric tons of rice consumed in Nigeria. Ebonyi is targeting producing just 10% of that.
It's a good thing that you have that target, but then, you know, someone would say that there would have been no need to ban the rice if, first of all, the rice was, if Ebonyi rice was available in the state. I mean, because naturally people will want to eat their own rice. And then secondly, if it was within, if it was affordable.
Yeah.
Which is one of the complaints against rice that is locally made in Nigeria.
No, it is, look, the rice coming from Ebonyi, 50 kg of rice from Ebonyi is, at the time I left Ebonyi, it was 18,000. But then, of course, the Nigerian factor hit. That diesel that was selling at about, what, 200 naira, is now selling at about 215 naira. And the rice processing plants we have in Ebonyi, by the way, we have 1 in each of the 3 senatorial districts in Ebonyi. They depend on diesel to run either for 3, 4, 5, or 6 hours a day. So Ebonyi rice, because of the adjunct costs, the cost of production escalating, is now 20,000 per 50 kg, which is still cheaper than foreign rice. Foreign rice, as I understand, is now between 23 to 27,000 of a similar bag and of inferior quality.
Well, it depends on where you're looking, and it depends on what brand you want to buy. If you also look at the fact that you talk about this rice just being about 20,000 naira right there in Ebonyi. You've not talked about transportation cost at all. How is that going to work across, you know, taking the rice across the country, for instance?
No, at the present time, the concentration of Ebonyi government is to meet local need. Because when I talk about 10% of 600,000, we have mapped out land that we intend to use to achieve that target by, say, between 2017 and 2018. And we need dry season farming, which requires huge and expensive infrastructure for irrigation.
So are you saying that even as we speak, Ebonyi has not been able to meet its own needs?
No, Ebonyi is meeting its local needs now. Ebonyi, the harvest season is ongoing as I speak. And from our estimations, by the end of the harvest, probably end of this year, end of this month, and then middle part of January, Ebonyi would have produced up to 200,000 metric tons of rice, which is far more in excess of what we will need. Because our target really is produce enough to satisfy the domestic market, which we are on target to doing, and then enough to make incursions into identified markets, so for instance, Lagos, the largest market in Nigeria, and then places like Port Harcourt, Abuja, and Aba.
How do you guard against smuggling? Because now that you banned foreign rice coming into Ebonyi, you have people who think, well, opportunity to make it kill.
Yeah.
How do you work against that?
We have a very interesting system in Ebonyi. The governor, I don't know if you read the news that in Ebonyi State we have what they call technical advisors. There are about 200 of them right now. And part of their function really is to police this, to identify where the smugglers are coming from and then alert the police, particularly the extremely competent civil defense command in Abakaliki. What is even more of a greater concern to us is the notion that some people are buying Abakaliki rice, packaging them, and putting Vietnam or India or Thailand stamp on them.
I was just going to say, I was just going to bring that to your attention because I recalled last time we spoke to former Minister of Agriculture, I think Mr. Adishino. He talked about how Nigerian rice was already in circulation, but was in circulation in other packages.
Yes.
You have that situation as
Absolutely.
well. How do you guard against that?
Well, how do you guard against that? I mean, this is where the national government comes in. A severe prosecution of anyone that is identified as an example is going to be very important. But it's also very important to empower, I will repeat, empower the civil defense and make it one of its remits to police against this, because it's going to be such a great disincentive. Rice producing, I own a farm. It's one of the most tedious processes you can ever imagine. And for someone to sit there and then wait for you to go through the rigors of producing maybe 100 kilograms of rice and then packaging it and then selling it at a premium that not only does it create scarcity, but makes a killing on the sweat of long-suffering and hardworking local communities.
Okay. Just pardon me, yes. We'll take a break, but we'll be back and let you conclude your thoughts in just a moment. Do join us again.